Welcome, everyone, to Locks of Lore. My name is Benny.
And I'm Tash.
This is Locks of Lore, where two hairstylists get real about the life behind the chair.
We are talking client drama, money talks, industry tea, and everything you'd normally only hear in the back room.
Whether you're a stylist or just love the beauty world, welcome to the group chat. Hi, everybody. We hope you had an amazing week, and we also hope that you enjoyed listening to the first 3 episodes of Locks of Lore. And today we're in for number 4. It's actually really funny because to you, it won't have seemed as if any time has passed, but for us, it's been an entire year.
We didn't even remember how to set up the app that we record on.
100%.
My microphone has dust on it, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
same. My microphone is probably covered in who knows what, but it's here, we're here, and we're excited that you're here.
My name is Tash. I am the your client is mixing up their coffee, and in the fridge there's some booze and they put it in it and they're drunk.
Was it some Baileys?
Yeah, it's Bailey's.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually, in my mind, justifiable creamer. There's been times where it's been just a regular morning and I don't have cream.
Yeah, at Christmas for sure, especially at the salon, we'll have that.
Yeah.
But you know what? One time at Christmas years ago when I used to drink coffee all day long at the salon, that it happened to me where I like, "What? It's just a regular creamer. It's totally fine." And then I just kept doing it all day. And eventually it hit a point where I was like, I can't be working anymore. I gotta stop this." And it hit
Really?
me. Yes, and I never did it again.
Okay, so I didn't know that you could actually get a little tipsy from that.
Yeah, you can if you have 12 cups of coffee a day with 2 ounces of Baileys in each
As we
one.
both reach over for our coffees.
Mine's hot water now because I learned my lesson.
Oh,
I drink hot
really?
water.
I should try that. I'm still drinking
Mhm.
coffee, although I'm better at not drinking a million of them because I actually won't be able to sleep. I'm at that stage of life where I'll just stay awake all night.
Me too.
Let's talk about some top of the week highlights of the week. Some gossip or stuff on the docket here in Ontario. I use Balmain in my
Mhm.
salon. It's been amazing for us. I've never made more from retail than when I was using that line, to be honest with you. And
Amazing.
then, but I always had a hard time ordering it. The rep that was selling it to me, I like her. She's a great person, but I send her a message in January because I'm trying to get my stuff. And she's like, "Oh, didn't you get my email?" We stopped retailing them back in December. The company's been dissolved. Dissolved? What are you fucking talking about? She's like, "Yeah, it's been dissolved. If you want to order whatever we have left, you can place an order and I'll send you a list of what we have left." So at this point now it's been like through by everybody. And there's like
Oh, no.
nothing that I like left except for like oil and like leave-in conditioning spray. I ordered whatever I could, but she forgot that she introduced me to the fucking CEO last year. So I just
Yeah.
sent him a fucking email. "Hey, question mark? Like, what do you mean dissolved?" He's like, "No, we're just not selling from them anymore. You have to order from Calgary now."
Oh,
So she was just trying to say that so that I would look at
find
anything
something else.
else that, yeah, and replace
Oh,
it.
as if you weren't gonna find out, as if you're not gonna still see it on your socials and be like, "Wait a second, we're dissolved."
Right? Oh, it's just gone? It probably isn't huge here for you, but it's all over the world and people make a lot of money off this. Why is it
Yeah, exactly.
it's not just gone, it's just not with
It
you
doesn't exist
anymore.
anymore. Yeah.
So,
It's like, "Poof, it never existed." It's like the Men in Black, you know what I mean? The thing
yeah, they
that
hold
makes
that
everybody
little silver stick up and
agree.
poof, it's gone. So
Yeah,
yeah, luckily I'm not able to order it, but I've been trying to find some replacements of things that I can just easily order. So I've been trying Arnco Blue, which has been really nice. I don't know if you've tried that line.
okay.
You can try it next time you're in Toronto. Yeah.
Yes, which is next month, so
Which is next
I'll try
month.
it.
Oh, I'm so excited for that. What's happening next
Me
month?
too. I'm teaching a class there for the launch of the 2 new Pravana tones. There's like a pinky one and a peachy one,
Oh, love
and
that.
I sort of like came up with this look that was gonna be for the launch, and then we decided to build a class around my application kinda
Is
style or
that the one that
whatever.
you posted on your socials with a long, chunky pink Nanaimo bar? Actually, if you want, you can still sign up for it. We will send a link out. It'll be on our stories. It is on March 30th, and that is in Toronto, in Mississauga. Check out that class if you'd like. We will be in person. I actually think it kind of reminds me of like Napoleon ice cream when you would get the chocolate, the vanilla, and the strawberry.
I love that. Okay, the thing I love about it, they asked me to create something that was a little more lived in looking so that it was, like, a little more wearable feeling for people that
100%.
were a little afraid of Vivids.
Definitely.
And so when it's all just laying down, it's super duper blendy and just really, really soft, but then when you pull it up, if you did, like, a half up or, like, the photos that you see from the campaign, it's got the big chunks underneath, so you can kinda wear it in
Yeah.
2 different ways. You can go off the kinda, like, '90s chunk vibe, or you can wear it
Yeah.
really, like, soft, which is fun. A little bit of both.
I'm looking at it right now just to remind myself how beautiful it is. I'm just so obsessed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can't wait to see how this technique is done. I will be there, Tash will be there, and you can be there too. So if anything, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yes, come to the class, but really come to chat about our podcast with us.
Yeah. So some other news happening here. I don't know if you heard about this, but Modern is no longer selling Kenra color.
Really? No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, hot off the press. I found out this because I got 2 class requests from one of their educators and from another
Oh.
salon switching from Kenra, and that's because they are no longer gonna be selling Kenra color in Modern. You can still get their stylers, but the color line, I believe, will be carried by Cosmoprof now. So, if you use Kenra and you have some tips on how to use other lines, or if I need, like, really good conversions, if you've used it before and you've tried something else, send that to us. We can always share that off to you if you have any questions. We're always here to help you. It doesn't matter what line you guys use. If we have information, we'd love to share it. So
Mm,
if any of you have any
yeah.
information that you want to send to us, you can of course send us an email at locksoflorepodcast@gmail.com. Okay, so moving on, this is actually what I'm so excited for. I'm going to start talking about TikTok drama because I feel like there is so much happening out there and we need to talk about it. But
Mhm.
right off the top, what I really wanna get into, and it really ties into this episode, is Hair by Chrissy, and I know I sent you a list of things to watch
Mhm.
last night, and so
You
now
gave
you're
me some
fully
hope.
yeah, I gave you some homework, so now you're completely caught up on all of this drama. Now, if you are not caught up on this drama, we're gonna give you the top line information, then probably get into some of the reactions, talk about some of the comments we've seen. I was on TikTok when it was actually happening, so there's a little bit of a different story as to what's on their page now versus what it was
Mhm.
like when it was actually happening. But essentially, what happened was there's this salon, which I believe is called Habitat Salon, and I'm pretty sure it's in
Habit.
California. Habit Salon, yeah. It's in California, right? Anyway, so a woman made a review on her hair experience from going to this salon. And so she made an appointment via text. She sent a text message to the number because I think she tried to call, whatever. Anyway, so she booked a hair service by Chrissy, who is the famous person, the main stylist at that salon. And she got a confirmation. She was getting her extensions redone. She has weft extensions. And she asked in the text messages if she could bring her existing extensions to just be re-upped,
Mhm.
and I think she added color at the beginning. I can't remember.
Yep.
Anyways, so she did pay a deposit for the service, and it was her understanding that she was gonna have a service by Chrissy because that was what
Mhm.
she requested, right? So she gets to this salon and she said in her review that Chrissy herself talked to her for maybe 60 seconds and touched her
Mhm.
hair for 60 seconds. And there was 10 other people grabbing at her hair, highlighting her hair. And of course, they did the whole process. Somewhere in this process, they explained to her that her extensions are no longer good to be used. And they talked her into new hair extensions. They didn't really document that process, but of course, we know extensions aren't cheap. She showed her receipt, and the service total came to $4,000. The very first line of the invoice is Chrissy service, $2,974. Okay, so that's $3,000. And then she has 2 different sets of extensions. There's coconut cream 10 NB, $570. She used 5 wefts, so I would imagine that's like $100 a pack. Whipped cream 12 and 22 inch times 4, that's $456. To me, those sound like pretty reasonable prices for extensions. Realistically, knowing what the industry charges and what you're gonna get for hair extensions, that sounds pretty
Hair is
reasonable to me.
expensive.
Yeah, hair
Yeah.
is not cheap.
That's not the startling.
That's not the struggling part. Yeah, the hard part. So then she has in here 7 seconds detangler for $40.50, Milbon Repair Restorative Shampoo 32, Milbon Repair Restorative Treatment 44, Ami Amino Repair Serum $36. Subtotal $4,152.50. Taxes $14.11 and she tipped 50, bringing the full grand total to 4,216.61. And she had put
American.
American,
Just
okay?
just that in because
Just
we're
let that
Canadian.
sink in, okay?
Yeah.
So what are your first thoughts about hearing this?
For me, my first thought about hearing this was I don't love the idea that she had 8 different people doing her hair because I saw another, video that she had posted later on, and she's talking about how she has all these different sections all over her head that are all done differently. If you're spending that much money on your hair, I feel like it should be consistent. That should just be a given,
Yeah,
and, inside of the hair has different sizes of slices or weaves or whatever's happening, and it's obvious enough that she can see that as a non-hairstylist person. It's,
yeah,
to
yeah.
me, that's I don't know, that's
If
kind of a
she
bit of
can
a
tell as a non-stylist that it's not the same, that
yes.
means it's really not the same. Because the
Yeah,
average person probably shouldn't be able to tell that one side has thicker slices than the other.
exactly. Same went for the extension install because
Um,
they were done by different stylists. Everybody does things in a little bit of a different way, obviously, and so, yeah, they were installed differently all over her head as well, which, is interesting
yeah.
in itself.
Now, I have worked in salons where the main person who does the hair is basically just an instructor. And so they don't really actually do a lot of the hair. And they have like a team of assistants that do their hair. Now, this isn't a new business model. This is something that we've seen before.
Mhm.
The only difference in these salons is that person is a very hands on educator, and all the people that do the work are only taught by them. And there is consistency throughout. That's the way it's
Yeah,
done properly. And they charge a lot of money because, of course, it costs a lot of money to have that kind of staff, but that also means you're not going to be sitting there for 6, 7 hours for an appointment. You're going to be getting, ideally, hopefully, a higher level of service and consistency. And that person has trained every single person that's touched your head. Now, if there's five
yes.
different people touching your head and they're all doing it very differently, that's, of course, a very different scenario. Now, I've
Oh,
also worked in salons where there have been stylists who just have their assistants do all their work and they just do like the front hairline and let the other person do the
yeah.
rest, and, like, they're charging huge prices, and, yeah, they're kinda scamming people, like, these people are not doing it the same, and you don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, we do see this a lot in the industry where there is sort of like the main stylist, they're a known stylist, say, their people are coming to that salon because of them, and they do have assistants or other stylists working under them, but the difference that I think too and that I've seen as well is that main stylist is overseeing the entire process, right? They're still gonna come back over and
Yeah,
check on it and help formulate and make sure that
yeah,
it's coming out the way that they've set that stylist up to do it. But apparently too in these TikTok videos, the girl that's complaining about it says she literally saw her for 60 seconds and that was
yeah,
it, and
yeah,
she just kind of disappeared. So, like, there's no one making sure that everybody's doing their job correctly, and in the end,
mhm,
that's why half the head looks different than the other half of the head,
for
right? And
sure.
then you get charged $4,000 American for
100%. Now,
for
this is a
that.
stark difference compared to what she explained some of the other people in the salon experience. She said that if you are an influencer at the salon, you are seen by Chrissy. Chrissy is with you a lot more, and she is the one
Yeah.
that's going to be doing your hair a little bit more than you would be if you weren't famous. And the irony is her tag is actually not famous. Like, that is the name of her account,
Mhm.
which is hilarious. Especially when you look at the receipt and it says Chrissy's service,
Yeah,
like $3,000. That was the bulk of the appointment, has
and,
her
like,
name in it. Like,
when
had
is
it
that?
said senior service or,
Yeah,
intermediate, that way she could see I was getting this done by this level of stylist, then that would have been
yeah,
very different. And I would imagine that payment would have been a very different situation when it
different.
came to that.
Yes.
I do think she was in the right there for not complaining, but giving her review. She did say she liked her hair, but to be fair, her reference was a lot lighter of a base blonde, and she wasn't going to get that experience unless she got a different service, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there when it comes to the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, agreed. It still looked beautiful, but what we could see, right? Apparently, once you
Yeah.
started picking it apart, there was some issues with it.
100%. And so the funniest part was this. Did you experience or did you see last night what happened on Hair by Chrissy's page while this was all happening?
Yeah, like her response?
Her response. Yeah, her response
Yeah,
was what really took this and made this out
wild.
of pocket.
Wild.
Okay, so you tell us what you thought about the response, Tash. Explain to us what the
Uh,
response was from your point of view, seeing what the reviews all said and what the flashbacks all said.
well, the main thing that I took from it, and that I remember about her response was that she then took that review for "I paid 4K for this," and printed that onto T-shirts and tried to put that out as merch for her salon.
Yeah.
Basically, just, like, throwing it in this girl's face, making a whole joke out of the fact that she
Yeah,
complained
100%.
about.
And I can see the angle she was going for. She was like, "Oh, whatever, you paid 4K for it." But what also happened was she spammed her own TikTok like crazy. Because
Yeah.
at this point now, after this girl went, viral, everybody was commenting on every Hair by Chrissy page. "What do you mean you paid 4K for this? And this hair is trash." And there was like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of comments daily. So what did Hair by Chrissy do? She posted every hour on the hour like a maniac. Just post, 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 post. And then for a good chunk of the time, all of the captions and all of the overtags were, "I paid 4K for this, 4K hair. I paid 4K for this, 4K hair." For 2 or 3 days, she really leaned in so hard. And it gave the
Did you
whole
were you watching
internet.
all of this live?
I was watching all this live. Yeah, at this point, like I just kept checking
See,
her
now I
page.
regret that I deleted
It
TikTok.
was so good. There was a good 2 days where she turned off her comments, period, and then when she turned them
Mm.
back on, it was just flooded with hate comments, basically, like, "I can't believe you charged 4K for this. This looks like shit," like, mean girl energy. There are, of course, a lot of influencers who post her page, right? That's how they get their hair for free or discounted. So then even they started getting backlash because they were basically lumped into that whole mean girls category of, like, I paid 4K for this because they did not in fact pay K for their hair, which is the
No.
hilarious part.
It is the hilarious part, and it sounds like because this salon is apparently so famous, to be honest, I had never heard of it or her before this, but
Same.
apparently people know of this stylist. I didn't, but, I guess they bring in a lot of influencers all the time, and she's not necessarily charging them, like Benny said, especially 4K, and I think that it's kinda one of those, like, mutual beneficial, like, "I'll do your hair if you make my salon even more famous by posting it on your socials," or whatever, and so it's just
Mhm.
like this exchange that happens, right?
Mhm.
And that's why she's seen so much more on the TikTok influencers
Yeah.
because she knows she's gonna be filmed and
Yeah.
put on the internet, right?
Well,
Where
apparently,
yeah.
according to this girl, there's a whole separate area of the salon that's in the center that's well lit. There's makeup, and then everything else is like, I guess, around that. So she says basically, Hair by Chrissy stands in the center of the salon where it makes it look like as if she's
Right,
working on the same X amount of people, but really
yeah,
everybody else around in the stations surrounding that are still paying for Chrissy's service are
yeah.
just seeing her for a second.
The
Or 10
peasants.
seconds. The
Yeah.
peasants, yeah. The peasants that are still paying actually, the peasants that
The
are
peasants,
affording her the lifestyle that she's there for, like, the people on the inside are not paying that kind of
they've got
money.
this backwards. Yeah, it's backwards for
It's
sure.
backwards.
Okay, I don't know if you heard this, but and this is just a total conspiracy theory, but I was watching somebody's TikTok this morning while I was doing my homework who was saying that the theory is Not Famous is actually the niece of Hair by Chrissy, and that this whole thing was a skit, like, it was planned in order to boost both of their socials.
I
Had you heard
mean,
that?
I did hear that, and I think that was something that very quickly fizzled out into nothing because the way Hair by
Mhm.
Chrissy responded, she was hurt.
So
She was
yeah,
hurt. She
it
was
was
like, "Okay, oh my
obvious.
fucking god. Post, post, post." It was manic.
Mhm.
You would refresh from watching the last video, and there'd be, like, 2 new videos loaded.
My
"Whoa,
god.
girl. I'm
Yeah,
gonna get rid of all of this by posting so much that you're gonna have to scroll so far to find the original drama." She was crazy.
man, that's nuts. Isn't it wild how social media has that effect on people and
Oh, yeah.
in a very negative way? It's
Yeah.
great for so many things, it's great for our what we do for our career and stuff like that, but man, when it turns on you, it is
Mhm.
horrible, and there's been so many hairstylists and just people in general that have been canceled because of
For
something that's
sure.
you
Now,
know?
like, I agree, it is terrible, but at the end of the day, if there was transparency, a lot of this wouldn't happen, you know?
Yes, yeah,
If this not famous girl had gotten a reply saying, "Hey, you will not be getting a service by Chrissy, you will be getting a service by her stylists at X level. Is that okay for you?"
yeah,
Or at least when it came to, like, the cash register, if they're like, "Okay, so you didn't get the Chrissy service, you got XYZ service with this other stylist." If there was that level of transparency, she didn't say she didn't like her hair. That wasn't the, like, complaint. She
Mhm.
was just mad about the fact that she paid for a service by Chrissy and the whole time was led to believe that that was who she was seeing. I get her frustration.
In the end of it all, though, it just was really unprofessional the way that
Oh,
Chrissy
yeah.
responded, right? The professional thing to do, if you hear something like that, a complaint, is just reach out to them privately and
Yeah.
say, like, "How can we fix this solution? We don't
Yeah.
need to blast you on social media and make jokes about, your the complaint that you had or whatever, and try to make merch out of it and make it into a huge joke." Like,
That was
so unprofessional.
so out of touch, looking around at people who are having a really hard time financially to then throw it in their face that you have this huge clientele all willing to pay crazy amounts of money to get their hair done. Now, I'm not gonna knock a stylist for charging whatever they think they're worth. At the end of the day, we are
Yeah.
all our own artists, and yes, there are people at the high end of the spectrum, and there will always be people at the other end of the spectrum. That's just the way the industry works, and that doesn't
Mhm.
mean that anyone is better than the other. Everybody has a clientele that they are suited for at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I would never knock somebody for that. But I do think that it's, for the sake of transparency, they should have told her, hey, you
Mhm.
probably aren't going to see this stylist for very long. You know what I mean? Are you
Yeah.
okay with seeing her team of stylists? Like,
The other thing that I don't love about the way that the world works these days, and especially I'm thinking about this for small businesses, when somebody goes to a salon or a small business or a business in general and they don't have a great experience, instead of just reaching out to that salon and trying to mitigate, fix the situation, whatever it is, they just blast that business on social media and attack them. And I don't love that. I just think that it can really cause a lot of damage, especially to a small business,
mhm,
and maybe there was just a misunderstanding, not even necessarily talking about the hair by Chrissy thing, but just in general. There's so many other ways that it could be dealt with before it gets to that point where you publicly bash a business that could affect a lot of people working there.
100%. Now, there's a time and place for everything. There have been times where
Yes.
I hear somebody's story and I'm like, oh, yeah, you definitely don't need to go back and talk to them. I want to hear all the details.
Mhm.
And you know what? I will give TikTok credit. A lot of the times, the comments are not on the person who's complaining side. They will be like, girl, I don't think this was that serious of a situation. Or you could have
Mhm.
just called the store. Or that's actually their policy. Or didn't you read the so and so? It's all over the XYZ. I will give it to the people on TikTok. They will tell you the honest truth no matter what it is. And I
Yeah.
love that. Sometimes the comments are really what I'm there for.
Mm,
Yeah.
100%. That's good, that's good.
And that actually segues us perfectly into today's topic, which is basically going to be talking about why it is so expensive to get your hair done these days. What has
Mhm.
changed in the industry? We can talk about it from your perspective, from my perspective. We are both salon owners, so we can definitely
Yeah.
tell you the difference, what we've experienced in the last, 5 to 10 years, even because we've been in this industry for a long time, so like even longer than that, right? So
Yep.
back in the day, you used to be able to go get a set of highlights and a haircut from $20. You'd see signs outside of their store, highlights and a cut, $99. It was crazy. I remember those days. The difference I found was a lot of the times people were doing like 3 people at a time. You were slammed
Yep.
back in those days. It's hard to do that, but to be fair, we're not doing the same hair that we used to. If
Right.
you look at those highlights back in the day, would you bring that photo from those days and bring that to your hairstylist now for a
Oh,
price
hell
that you
no.
were willing to pay then? Would you bring that photo to a stylist right now and expect that same service to be done? "Yeah, I want my $125 highlight back. Can you do this on me?"
Yeah.
Would you want that? No, you don't. The
No.
techniques have changed. We have evolved. Fashion hopefully has evolved,
Products have changed.
Products have definitely changed. I think techniques have lended to the realization that we can't be doing our hair every 5 to 6 weeks unless you absolutely need to. And I think that that's really changed to bring that lived in look a little bit more in, which of course adds more steps to your process, which in turn means more products used, which led to the companies learning how to
Yeah.
segregate each layer of the process to figure out how to charge us as hairstylists the most money. If I've learned something from being behind the scenes in these meetings, is they know exactly what they're doing when they have to sell you a three-step process as opposed to a two-step
Yeah.
process. They understand the mechanics of you going to the store and knowing that you're gonna have to use all three of these products, so you're gonna buy all three of them like that. They are a business at the end of the day. So
Mhm.
they've learned how much people can charge and make doing hair, and they've said, "I want my piece of the pie." And I'm not gonna say how much it actually costs, but when I heard how much it costs for a tube of a color line that we've all heard of and have all at one point in our
Mm.
career used, I heard how much that tube of color cost to make, and I saw what they charge for it.
Sickening.
I I actually had one of those moments where, like, everything went dark around me, and all that was experiencing was my internal world. I was like, "Oh my god." They are our corporation. That's what they're
Yeah.
there for, right? They're there to minimize their own costs and maximize the profits, and at the end of the day, so are we, that we are also business owners. So, of course, products have cost more, and I'm sure what you pay versus what I pay is very different
Mhm.
because you have a team of how many at your salon?
There's 6 hairstylists at my salon.
Yeah, and so what would you say your product and supplies cost would be at your salon?
Like, per client or per
No, just in general, like, how much does it cost a month to run your salon for product that you
uh,
order?
just for product?
Yeah, like retail,
I
color,
would
all of it. And
yeah, I would
like,
say,
I would say disinfectant, gloves, your
yeah,
supplies
everything.
cost, everything.
I would say, like, a few grand.
A few grand, like 2 grand, 3 grand?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Somewhere. Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, at my salon too, we do have chair renters as well, so
mhm.
that being said, not every single person uses the color that we supply, some of them use their own
Okay,
color.
okay, so how many would you say would use the color versus how many are buying their own?
It's probably half and half.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty fair, roughly 1,500 per stylist type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Agree.
I know for me, it's about the same. It's about 2 grand a month for
Yeah.
my product. I do use a lot of Pravana color, but my
Mm.
retail is really expensive. I do
Yeah.
use only luxury lines in the salon. Before, when I was using more affordable product, it wasn't as much. I'd probably say it was like $1,500 a
Yeah.
month to, like, comfortably run my business. And also, I'd like to keep in mind, I only work 2 days a week.
Mhm.
If I was working 5 days a week doing the same thing, when I was doing that, I was spending $3,000 a month. Easy. Easy. For
Yeah.
me as a person, just one person, it wouldn't be hard. Heaven for fucking bid, I wanna try something new. Heaven forbid. I want to, like, bring a new line in or try a new range of color
Mhm.
that just came out. There's always some new technology. There's always some new level of, like, awesomeness that's gonna make our experience easier, our hair for our clients
Yeah.
better, and really, at the end of the day, you have to justify bringing it into your salon versus what you charge because there are some things that we probably shouldn't be offering. I know I had to really bring my prices up, and it was a journey to get it to this point. I'm not here to brag about it. I've been doing hair for almost for 20 years, so it's not like I'm
Mhm.
doing it for nothing. But there are also a lot of stylists who have decided to charge a lot of money because they're really good at one technique, which they've
Yeah.
mastered. And good for them. I hope they don't run into any roadblocks. But that's just the way the
Mhm.
industry is changing.
It's interesting. We talk about this a lot at my salon, actually. Students in hair school nowadays, I feel like they all are focusing on specializing in one thing already when they're still in hair school, which
Hmm.
is wild to me because how do you expect to go out into the industry with no clientele, but only say that you do one thing? And maybe you do that one thing really well, but like you need to I don't know, in my eyes, you need to kinda have experience doing everything. Maybe that one thing isn't gonna be around forever. Also, you eventually need to get your journey persons if that's where you're headed
Yeah.
with your career, and you have to be able to know all of those basic things that you're now already saying that you're not gonna offer anymore because you're too good. Good luck doing your journey persons, your practical and stuff like that if you haven't practiced.
Well, I would hope that they would do that test as soon as possible after they're done schooling so that it's at least in their brain and then go on afterwards. But one thing I will admit to is I will say the biggest difference in my career from the beginning is marketing. We talked about this before. It's very different when it was back in the day for us when we would have to walk around with our card and that's how we made our clientele. A lot of it was based off of walk in foot traffic. Nowadays, you are mostly marketed online, word of mouth. And so I
Mhm.
think that switch in this industry has really lended to allowing the newcomers to really specialize because you don't need to have anybody come into your chair anymore. In our day, anybody could walk in that door and they could sit in your chair and get a service done. But that's not the case.
Mhm.
Almost everybody is by appointment only or in some sort of private situation. They work from home. They don't need to book those appointments. I would hope that they don't. I would hope that they don't just say
Mhm.
yes to that thing that they're not good at. If but I think
Yeah.
that that's really where that mentality has come from is the fact that if I don't wanna be doing gray coverage, I can really just talk about blonding, and that's all the
Yeah.
clients I'm gonna get is gonna be blonding.
I guess if you're confident that you're gonna get yourself busy just doing that,
Sometimes
then
it's the
sure.
case. If especially if you're in a busier area, it's not uncommon for you to have the exact same clientele. And I've seen it. I've gone to salons and worked with people where 90% of their clientele is the exact same fucking person. Copy paste, copy paste.
Mhm.
There's the odd person they do a fucking random color on, you know? But the other 90%,
Yeah.
95% of their clientele is the exact same person. Now, I'm not knocking that person. They figured out how to make the industry work for them. Good for you, but that's just not the
Mhm.
way we were when we were being raised, you know?
Raised as baby stylists, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You did have to be good at everything or at least decent at everything because you did
Mhm.
have to offer it all.
Yeah. Now, I
And
mean,
maybe that's just cynical of me to, like, feel that that's the way it still should be, but that's just how it's
well, there'll
ingrained in my
always
head,
be
right?
those
It's ingrained.
stylists. There will always be those stylists, and I think that those stylists will be the ones that tell the true test of time, because what's gonna happen
Mhm.
in 15 years when all of these clients that have only been getting a balayage are gonna be dealing with actual gray
Yeah.
coverage, and the people that have been doing their balayage for so long don't know how to properly manage their grays, and the only thing they can bottleneck them into is this small section of solutions. They're going to branch out. They're going to look for somebody whose brain management systems are a little bit more advanced. And then they're going to notice that's what they should probably start learning. Or I think that's starting to happen right now.
I know. I've already seen that honestly with stylists. Stylists that we've been saying maybe they specialize in balayage or they just don't do, certain things. And then they were asked to do more chunky look and they didn't know how to do that. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know how to just do back to back foils? Like just don't
Yeah.
skip in between your foil. To
Uh,
me, that's so obvious.
That's so
They'd
obvious.
never, yeah, like it blew their mind that you could
Yeah.
just do back to back slices.
Now, do you think that that's all they're teaching them in hair school is blended balayage looks? Do you think they're not showing them things
Yeah,
like
I
that
think
anymore?
yes, or just what's really current right now. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't think that there's a focus on a little bit of everything and not necessarily what was current at the time when we were in hair school. Do you know
For
what I mean?
sure. But if you're going to show somebody a platinum card technique, you've at least showed them how to do back to back. Everybody should know how to do a
You
full
would think.
blonding service.
You would think. Maybe that stylist just entirely forgot or, like, washed it out of their mind.
Or they couldn't put the thought of doing that whole technique in smaller sections of the head, just doing back-to-back foils
Maybe.
here instead of the whole head, like it didn't click. That's wild, but you know what? That's just the way the industry's going. Let's see what happens. Let's chat about that for a second. Like, we'll spend a lot of money on classes. I'm looking at a class
Mhm.
in New York for fucking 3 grand American, not to mention my flight, my hotel, and, like, the fact that I'm gonna be staying in New York, it's gonna be a $7,000 weekend, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's an
Exactly.
investment. In order for us to stay current, in order for us to keep you excited coming back to the salon, we are constantly upping our craft. We are always learning for new ways to make your hair happier, healthier, longer. Like we want to be able to make your experience better. And for us, we have to pay for that. And sometimes we have to pay big
Mhm.
bucks. That's just the way it
Mhm.
is to stay current in this industry. The reason why I love it is things are always changing.
Exactly. It's that's the fun of it, and the exciting part about it for us is, like,
Hmm.
constantly learning and constantly playing with new techniques, new products, new ideas.
Yeah.
Otherwise, can you imagine if we didn't have that and it was just the
We'd
same
still be
thing we've
doing
been
the
doing
same
here for
highlights from 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
exactly,
We'd still be getting that
exactly.
quarterly update from the company we I happened to buy color from with 2 DVDs. that would be in the salon
Yeah.
that whenever it'd be slow, the stylist would be like, "Just go watch these DVDs in the back." And you'd be like,
Oh,
"Okay,
hilarious.
fine."
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
so
I mean,
funny.
those were also kind of the good old days. I low key miss that, but
Yeah,
whatever, you
ditto.
know? I did the numbers for me, and I think it costs me 60 or $75 an hour to keep my salon, like,
Mhm,
running, you know? So if you're sitting there for a service that takes even just 3 hours, I've spent almost $200 from the time
mhm.
you walk in to the time you leave. That's how much it costs me sometimes to have your service, and that's not just the product cost, that's the actual rent for the space, the chair, the investment it initially took to even open the space sometimes can take years to pay off, all of the tools
Yeah,
that we have to change every few years. When I did that math, I was actually losing money. There were services that I was looking at where I was not taking home as much as I thought I was. I'm breaking my fucking back. I'm doing all these back to back to back services, and then I look at how much it costs versus what I'm taking home. I did all of that and killed myself for next to nothing. And
yeah, exactly.
that's why salons close. I would hope if you're listening to this and you don't know how much it costs to run your salon, sit down and actually look at the real numbers. And if you rent a chair, if you happen to work somewhere where you're paying commission, just be like happy that's taken care of for you. But as an independent stylist, you should definitely know how much it costs you, not only for just your product, but to actually run your space, how much you pay per month. Break that down to how many days you work, break that down to how many hours you work. That's how much that costs you to just be there for those days.
Another thing is that I'm gonna add to that is, like, so the past few years, I've been really getting into competition stuff. Well,
Oh,
I'm not getting paid to do any of that. I'm, in fact, paying money to do that. So I am, I'm purchasing the wigs or I'm purchasing the extensions. I'm purchasing the color. I need to even think about like wardrobe. I have to pay a makeup artist. I This is literally why I decided to learn photography by myself because I
mhm.
was like, do I want to hire a photographer every single time? Not
That's
really.
a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for what I want to start getting into. So I'm just going to start messing around with photography on my own. You know
Now,
what I
even
mean?
that was probably still a huge investment. You got lucky that you were gifted a camera, but
I
that is something that someone would have had to still spend a good chunk of money on in order to do properly.
Yeah, exactly, and then to enter these competitions, for a lot of them, you actually have to pay money to even enter in the first place, just for somebody to look at your work. Doesn't guarantee you anything.
100% doesn't guarantee anything. That's just
Yeah.
to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, then on top of it, if you place, it's up to you, you don't have to, but if you wanna go there to be a part of it all,
Mhm. Which you
yeah,
want
it's your
to,
flights.
right?
Well, of course you want to, you wanna be a part of it and celebrate it and meet, all these. I mean, for me, going to Contessa this year was incredible, like,
Oh,
meeting all
yeah.
of these stylists that I've looked up to for so long, but, I mean, yeah, that week trip costed me an insane amount of money. Worth it, it was
100%.
100% worth
Yeah.
it, but, I mean, that's my outlet, right? That's, like, my creative outlet, but, yes, as a stylist, everything costs us money.
Yeah. And we also don't have sick days or a retirement
Yeah,
fund. All of that we have to save for. And we have
yeah,
families too. We have plans for our future that we also have to pay for. If you can't afford to get your roots done every 6 to 8 weeks, I 100% have take home kits for my clients. Great. If
mhm,
you want to take care of the front of your hair, I'd rather sell you the product that you're going to use on your own hair. And then I'll just do the rest of it when you can afford to come in every 4 months, every 3 months for your highlight and color. There's ways to
yep.
work around it. And I think that that lends us perfectly to the next line of business today, which I would love to get into some letters from our listeners. I'm so excited
Ooh,
for
yeah.
this. We asked some friends to send us some letters, and you can, of course, also send us your letters. Our email address is locksoflorepodcast@gmail.com. And you can send us your letter if you have any situation that has happened to you that you want us to read out loud. It could be a funny salon story, it could be a salon day that was like a perfect day for you. Doesn't matter what it is. Send us an email. We'd love to read it. And we have our first email in, and I will read that to you right now.
I'm so excited.
I know, I'm so excited. Letter from Priced and Pressured. Hi, Locks of Lore. I've been a stylist for 11 years. I rent my chair, I invest in education every year, I use high quality color, and I genuinely care about the integrity of my work. I'm not cutting corners. I recently raised my prices, nothing dramatic, just enough to reflect the raising cost of product, rent, and honestly, my experience. Since then, I've been getting subtle and not so subtle pushback from clients. Things like, wow, when did it get so expensive? I remember when this used to be X amount. I might have to stretch my appointments out. Or my personal favorite, my friend's stylist charges less. I'm not trying to take it personally, but it's hard not to feel defensive. I know my work is good, my clients leave happy, my books are steady, but every time somebody questions my pricing, it plants this tiny seed of doubt. Am I charging too much? Am I pricing myself out of my clientele? Should I be justifying my prices more, or should I just let the work speak for itself? The truth is, my expenses have gone up dramatically in the last 2 years. Color costs more, rent costs more, everything costs more. But clients don't necessarily see that side of things. They just see the total at the checkout. How do you handle clients who push back on pricing without over explaining or feeling like you have to defend your worth? And how do you emotionally detach from the guilt that sometimes comes from charging what you know you deserve? Love your take, priced and pressured.
Oh, I feel for you. That
I
that is a
know.
really yeah, that's a very hard one, and I feel like something that every stylist deals with in
Oh,
their
yeah.
career. Yeah.
100%. At some stage in the game, you're gonna have some sort of situation like this happening.
At some stage in the game, everybody has that moment like what you were talking about where you kinda start realizing how you're not taking home what you thought you were when you look at your cost of color, your cost of rent, your cost
Mhm.
of your whatever other product you're using. By the time you minus all of those off, some stylists aren't paying themselves anything, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Now, I don't think I know a single person that would do that. Now, something I would say is at some point in your career, when you say you're not taking home what you some stylists aren't even paying themselves. I don't know anybody that would, work for free or work on a voluntary basis. Once you realize what you're worth and what you need to take home, there are ways to go about doing this. Of course, you can give your clients a heads up. Hey, everyone, by this time, this is going to be the price increase. That way, your clients have some time to adjust their schedules or
Mhm.
decide if they're gonna continue getting the service or not. If a service is not something that they can afford, you can, of course, offer them alternatives. I know I had clients that would come in every time and get a full foil, where I was like, Why are you
Mhm.
doing that? We could just be doing a face frame twice, a partial once, and maybe a full once a year. You
Yeah,
don't need to be
100%.
doing this huge service every single time. Or, like I said before, getting them a home management system for some grays where you do the majority of the job. Some stylists I've heard have done something like where they do the T zone, where they just do the front and it's a quick service. They don't do the whole color. So there are options you
Mm.
can give your clients that works for both of you. What can I offer that can still suit a price point that is appropriate for you? And yes, you will lose some clients sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's okay. I remembered when I first was told that I was going to increase my prices, somebody told me you're going to lose up to 20% of your clients when you increase your prices. So that means if
Mm.
you raise your prices by at least 20%, it doesn't matter if you lose
Yeah.
20% of your clients, you will still be taking home the same amount of money. And that number I just threw at you, that was like a random statistic. Of course, you can raise your prices by
Mhm.
whatever works for you. If getting there by 20% doesn't work right away and you will have to do 5%, 10%, 15%, you do it works for you in your business in your area, but just have a plan. Just know where you need to be and how long you're willing to take to get there. I think it's very important for people to look at their business and stay in business by charging appropriately.
Yep, and I just think that the most important part of it all is transparency.
Yeah.
However, you're going to let those clients know beforehand at the hair chair, like you said, talk about other options if it's kinda out of their budget, but I
Yeah.
just think, like what happened what we were talking about earlier with Hair by Chrissy or whatever, like, this girl just was not aware of what she was gonna be receiving, and that's what threw this whole entire situation into chaos, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if she felt like she understood the service she was gonna be getting for the price that she was gonna be paying in the first place, there wouldn't have been an issue. So I think that transparency is just the most important part of it all, no matter what you're paying, no matter what you're charging.
So to
Yeah.
answer your question, anonymous, I do not think you are charging too much. I think if you've decided what your business is worth and that's the price you have to charge to keep offering the services that you offer, I think that you are charging the right amount. I'm proud of you. You keep
Mhm.
doing you, you stay in business. Are you pricing yourself out of your clientele? Maybe, and that's okay. There will be
Mhm.
people that will follow you, and you also have to understand that as you charge more, chances are your clientele also makes more money too. I have a lot of clients that what they paid for in the beginning was what they could afford, and what they can afford now is very different. We've all upped our game. So,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to price stuff out of the clients. And that was something
Mhm.
that I would say, instead of explaining to your clients what the price is, explain to them the value of what they're getting. Let them know things like, yeah, I'm using products like K18. I'm using really good lightener. Look how long your hair has gotten in the last year or two. Look how soft and shiny your hair
Yeah.
is. Didn't you love that beautiful smell of that shampoo that we used and this perfume that you have to offer 'em? Explain to them the value of what they're getting.
And maybe you've upped your education, right? Like we were talking about
100%.
earlier, these are all costs that you want your stylist to have their education be current, right? And so you have to pay for
You
that
could
if
even
that's
say
what you're
something like,
looking
I know you value staying current and having the best education and the best stylist here. And I take that to heart. So I do take education. I do advance my career in order for you
Yeah.
as my clientele to take home the best service. Instead of
Mhm.
telling how much something's cost you, explain to the client what they're receiving. And that's an easy way I find in order to not have to justify your price increases. They just have to justify whether or not that is worth it for them. And at the end of the day, that is a good thing for you because your client's ideals should align with your ideals. And the reason why you charged more is because you are now zeroing in on what your ideals are and your,
Mhm.
philosophy as a stylist. Your clientele they should follow along with that. They should agree with you.
Yep.
And those things should also be important to them. If you're steadily booked, that's the sign to either increase your pricing or increase your availability. And you've got to choose which one is more important. When you are booking like weeks out, months out, maybe it's time to raise your prices. So I don't think, Anonymous, that you are doing anything that isn't deserving towards what your career cost you and what you should be charging people based on what you think you're worth.
It's just an expensive world out there, and that's just the reality.
Yeah. And your last question was, how do you emotionally detach from the guilt that sometimes comes with charging what you know you deserve? That was something that I had a hard time with. I know that when I look at the end of the year at what I would have given away, that was the last
Mhm.
time I felt that guilt. One year, I think I gave away like $16,000. And I was like,
Oh, Lord.
I am never doing that again because you know what? That person that received that discount, they don't remember. They don't
No, and
care.
sometimes they don't even really realize that you gave them a discount in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But for you, those little tiny discounts add up over time, whereas for them,
Yeah,
that little discount doesn't really make that much of a difference, right?
yeah.
But it does for you in the end.
It does for you in the end, especially when you look at your numbers and what you've given away. One thing I will not do again is I will not allow someone to pay cash, no tax. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It's not worth me like allowing you to save the $70, $60 because guess who ends up paying it in the end? Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. It's going to be me. So it actually, like,
Mhm.
you think that the client is saving $70, but you're actually taking $70 off of your take home when you do things like that. So I always tell people, no, I'm sorry. I want to be able to get a mortgage based on what I actually make. So why wouldn't I be honest about that and pay taxes on it just like you are?
Be able to see it on paper, right? Because that's a big problem with a lot of this industry is that not everybody does. A lot of people just take cash and pocket it,
Yeah.
which is cool and all, but in the end, when you look at your paper and you are not able to afford that mortgage, is it really cool?
Yeah.
That's
Is it really cool? Like, I remember there was times obviously where I'd have to go get a car and I'd be like, I promise I make X amount a month, but it's just not in the bank. And they don't care.
yeah. No,
Unless
they
you're
don't care.
willing to pay for it all outright in cash, which there
Right.
are some people that will do that. Good for you. But you also have to realize life doesn't work like that. And you got to be able to show what you make, especially
Yeah.
if it's good.
Regular life things that I think a lot of people don't have to face in their careers because for us, the hair world and especially the self-employed hair world is so different, right? Not everything is shown on paper in our industry.
Why do we hide how much we make? I remember people would think, oh, you're just a hairstylist. How much would you possibly take home? And it was almost a little bit of a stigma telling people that you did hair because that was just
Yeah.
like what people thought of us as an industry.
Not you're not
Yeah,
smart enough to like a real
100%.
yeah.
Exactly. And maybe that was the case. We were working ourselves to the ground to be able to live. One thing I will love ever since I charged what I'm worth. There are times where I'm double booked, but I'm not doing this insane busy day. It's actually manageable. I'm not
Mhm.
breaking my body down as fast, which means I'll be able to still do this for a longer amount of time. I won't get
Yeah.
that burned out. My clients get better service.
Not, like, exhausted at the end of your 8th cut and color in a row now, and you're just
Yeah.
dying, but you have
And you still have the
your
other half of the day.
yeah, and you still have the other half of the day to go, like, not worth
And no
it. It's
lunch, no
yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of people that don't eat when they're at work because why would I eat when I should be making the extra $200 by doing this
well, that
random
takes
service?
us right back to the beginning of our conversation today talking about how we both just used to drink coffee all day long because you don't take breaks. All we would do is just drink coffee to survive and get you through the day and do 16-hour days behind the chair without even sitting down once.
Heaven forbid we went back to mix a toner and there was something that we could eat. That's when most of your hairstylists eat, is when they go back to mix color and they have
Yep,
all of 2 minutes to reply to the text messages that are also stacking up, right?
yep.
And then on top of that, mix your color. Think about that. And then
Scarf
eat
something
something.
down.
Pray to God there's food already there, or they've like
Yeah,
planned for an Uber Eats to get there at the right time. Nothing is worse than when you have
no.
15 minutes to eat lunch and your Uber Eats gets there 10 minutes after the 15 minutes you had, and you have to
Yeah,
look at your lunch there the whole day, and you don't have
um,
time to eat it until
cold and soggy, and by the end of the day, you eat it, it's disgusting, and you
oh
still
my
did lunch
god.
once.
That happens to me all the time. My
Yep,
food gets there just after I'm allowed to eat it, and everyone's like, "Just eat." Of course, I'm not gonna eat. If I take 10 minutes now, my whole day is gonna be fucked.
yeah, you're gonna be behind all day. Yeah,
I
not worth it.
probably already am. So, like, now I'm gonna
Yeah,
make it
exactly.
worse.
Yeah, you can't set yourself back that extra 10 minutes more. It's so
Yeah.
stressful. You just gotta keep grinding, and I can't wait till I'm there next month and we can do our date and hang out
Oh
at your
my
sh
god, I'm so excited.
That wraps up today's episode of Locks of Lore. If this conversation hit close to home, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a stylist who needs to hear it.
You can find us on social media at Benny_and the Jets.
And at tashpotatoes_hair.
If you've got a story, question, or salon situation you want us to break down, send it our way, anonymously always, at locksoflorepodcast@gmail.com.
Until next time, know your worth,
Protect your energy.
and we'll see you behind the chair.